Right.
The stream is live. Good morning to Bertie. I'm Jim Owen. This is Des McLean. Des, say hello.
Good morning, everybody. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frosty's nipping at your nose. Yuletide hymns being sung by a choir. And folk dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe. Right, you get the general idea. By the way, this was my Christmas jumper. I said to the wife, I went, get me something a bit tasteful, something that people would look at it and go, is that a Christmas jumper? Look at it. Look at this. Incredible. So you can't have a serious argument with somebody wearing this. Imagine me at the game of the day like that. Hey, Rogers, what's going on here? Come on, look at me. Look at this. Although I'm very chuffed with my green Santa hat. I pushed the boat out this year. I thought last year's was a wee bit kind of a rubbish. It was that green felt stuff. Look at this. Awesome. So, yes.
Good.
And good to see everyone today. Not too long. Was it 9 days to Christmas? And I'm looking forward to this. Bendel and Bertie Christmas special. Yes.
So I thought Mr. Dykes would be here today, so I get to play the part of Paul John Dykes. So the format for this morning is that we'll spend the next hour or so through the 12 days of Bertie. Anyone who follows me on Twitter will see that I've been tweeting each day as we kind of count down to Christmas. And last year we did something similar for the charity weekend, and hopefully we raised lots of money for wee Jamie this weekend. And what we did last year is we picked 12 of the photographs in the Bertie Advent calendar. And this year we're going to pick the other 12 and we're going to go down them and have a wee chat about each of them. And also have a wee chat about what the Bendel and Bertie journey has been over the past couple of years, certainly the last year. It's been a bit mad. So I believe Mr. Dykes in the background. Photograph number 1, Mr. Dykes, please. There we go. That was good. A young Bertie Old, Brilcream boy. How old do you reckon is their days? 16, 17, something like that?
Yeah, 16, 17. A very young, yes, Bertie there. 15, 16, probably.
And what I've always said about football players is that they're kind of pretty ordinary people who live these kind of like extraordinary lives. I mean, little did he know what was what was ahead of him over the next 60 odd years, you'd be at that point. So what we're going to do is kind of interject, the photograph disappeared, interject the conversation, what's been happening over the last year. So tell me, Des, what's been happening over the last year with Bendel and Bertie?
Well, by the way, if somebody heard a crash there, if you wonder why I just turned round, right, all my Christmas tree lights on Harry's bar, they just fell, they just smashed to the ground, all these Christmas lights. So this is my pub for anybody who's just tuning in. It's called Harry's Bar, named after my son, Harry. And this is what I used during lockdown as my virtual pub for all the comedy clubs. So just in case you're thinking, why is Des in the pub so early on a Saturday morning in Rob Royston? It's Harry's Bar. A big crash. All the lights fell off the mirror there. So what's been happening the last year with Bendel and Bertie, the whole Bendel and Bertie thing, the journey has been incredible. Do you remember back, by the way, when we started Bendel at Bertie, we were reading off scripts and we were wearing masks during COVID. We were wearing these kind of and it was the gig was on, it was off, it was all, we're in lockdown. Then suddenly we had 4 nights. Do you remember? In Webster's Theater. We'll never forget that. It was the first time we were out in front of these big audiences, and it was just the first gigs out of lockdown, and it was incredible. Then after that, we went on a national tour from Inverness, to the borders, to Aberdeen.
Before that, we did that one night in the Beacon. What's the story about that?
And that was very, very sad. That was probably the saddest, because the next day, that's when Bertie passed away. That we had that one off just to get us back, and very, very emotional night. And then we did the tour, nationwide tour.
Also, since I'm in charge here, this is quite good. I can say anything.
I can't believe you only carry Lineker.
This is great. So the day of doing the Beacon, there's a wee story there that basically there's 4 actors. There was 5 actors at that time, wasn't there? There was 5 actors, and I was doing my chauffeur as usual. I'm kind of Mr. McLean's chauffeur. I also tie Mr. McLean's tie.
He does. Not this tie. This is pretty easy.
No, that tie. You've tied that one yourself. Yeah. Because you told me some story about, was it Martin Scorsese ties people's ties or something?
Oh yeah,
What was that?
Scorsese was tying De Niro and Ray Liotta on Goodfellas. He ties their ties every day. So ours was like an Aldi version of that. You were tying my tie
Aye.
every day for Brendan and Bertie, which you did. By the
So that's
way,
one of
from Dunoon to Vegas, you tied my tie.
so basically that's one of my very few functions in the whole Ben Bertie thing. I'm just like in the background, and we're going to the Beacon, and unfortunately, one of the actors took a stroke. He's okay now. He's fine. So a bit of a panic in the morning to figure out what we're going to do. We're just going to cancel the show.
You need to tell
And
me which
then
actor, Dave Anderson, the great Dave
Dave
Anderson.
Anderson, the great Dave Anderson, had a stroke, but he's okay now. So that was a very kind of traumatic morning. But we're trying to figure out, do we go ahead with the show this night? But because it's a rehearsed reading, it means that you've got the scripts to hand. And then I'm saying to, obviously Des knows actors. I don't know any actors at all. And I'm saying to Des, can you maybe contact someone and see what you think? And you come up with the brilliant idea that I should do it, that mild-mannered accountant should go on a stage in the Beacon Theater in front of 400 people.
500, 505.
500 people. You can do it. Mild-mannered accountant. You can do it. So a few shakes of the head later, I said, don't be so daft. So fortunately, young actor who was in at the time, Matthew Gallagher, brilliant young actor. His dad's Frank Gallagher, who, if you watch River City, he plays the part of, is it Lenny Murdoch, the two great Celtic names. And Frank did it at short notice, thankfully. Otherwise, I'd have been forced into making my acting debut at the Beacon. But as Des said, Bertie's family came that night. That was the first time they were coming, but they had to leave early because Bertie wasn't well at all. And sadly, he passed away the next day. So that was one of the unfortunate things, really sad things about the play, that Bertie never got a chance to come and see it. So anyway, the next year... Yeah, sorry, Bertie, on your own, Des.
Bertie's song was on at the end of the show, and we knew that Robert's family were there, and we got a wee message at the interval to say that they had to go to the hospital. We knew that, you know, it was the kind of last hours, and that was the toughest. That was really tough that night at the end of it because of what we knew. And then the next day was a long day, and then the news came in, and Robert messaged me, said that his dad had passed. It was so sad. It was so tough that night. And then after that, it was just a case of, are we going to keep going with this? Remember we had that conversation, and Robert says, yeah, keep going with it, keep, you know, the spirit alive. And that spurred us on, and that was a tough night, but incredible.
Yeah, because Robert, his son, said that his dad lives on through this, through the play. So he was kind of immortal again.
Robert Old, and absolutely, he tunes into Acsom, and he did say, as soon as I would always tell him about the latest stuff with Bertie, what's happening. I'd always keep him updated. We wanted his blessing, you know, and that's what it's all about, the family. And when I told him we were going to Vegas, he just went, yes. And he said, the Blazer returns to Vegas. That's when he gave, after he gave me...
Tell us your Blazer story then. That's a good seg into that one. So we go on tour, 2020, May, June 2022. We do 16 dates out the country. And the highlight is...
Motherwell Theater, Motherwell Concert Hall. Motherwell Concert Hall, a brilliant little theatre, 415 people or something like that. It was sold out well in advance. It was one of the ones that it was sold out for a while, and it was the nearest theatre to Robert and his family. So we knew they were coming, and that's when the pressure was on, because this was it. It was a full show, and the show had changed. It was more of a tribute to Bertie. Still the original, you know, story of the Mullen family and all that, but it was more of a tribute because Bertie had passed away. And so the pressure was on more. There was a lot more Bertie in it. And that's what people wanted. Remember, Jim, from the start, the feedback, we want more Bertie. They just want more, and we gave, you know, there's a lot more Bertie. And there was a lot of sad moments in it, a lot of happy moments, and Bertie was hilarious in it and still, you know, but a lot of sad because he obviously passed away. So we're in Motherwell Theatre, and Bertie's family are coming along. So I'm sitting going, right, this has got to be the one. We need to nail this. I need to make sure this is good. I need to make sure, you know, that I respect him. I need to make him Bertie, but I still need to make sure. And then at the end of the show, we thought it was a good show. I felt it. I thought this was a good one. Then chap at the door, bang, 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 and it was Robert and his wife Susan, and he, you know, he could tell he'd been breaking his heart, which, you know, is a good sign. I'm sorry to say, but it was. And his wife went, he's been greeting for the start of the show, and he was, and he went. He says, you know what? You were my dad's double up there. He says, you've nailed him. And that, for me, that was it. That was the big seal, the ultimate seal of approval. And I remember, I'll never forget this for everyone watching, because I was so relieved that I had that massive seal of approval, so relieved. That was, it was a pressure, it was a weight off my shoulders. He says, what size are you in a blazer or a suit jacket or whatever? And I remember kind of thinking, what? And Jim Orr turned around and went,
42 medium.
Without hesitation. And you could hear somebody was on the train there.
I know, hold on, it's my door, hold on. Keep talking, you're doing well.
Is it the door? See, I love this show business. You don't see Gary Lineker going to answer the door, do you, on Match of the Day? That is genuinely Jim Orr's bell. Yeah, brilliant. Amazing. So, you never see Graham Norton going to answer the door. So anyway, while the bold Gary Lineker on Match of the Day answered the door to Alan Shearer, probably, so Jim tells him the size. The very next day, I'm standing in my house up here, and it was round about lunchtime. It was a Saturday, and I got a message from Robert Auld saying, "Here's a wee present from my mum," and it was Bertie's blazer, and it's here, and it was to keep forever. He says, "Wear that with pride," and I wore it every other show from Dunoon to Vegas. The Bertie blazer. That was it. It was on, and I'm not joking. I couldn't. It fitted me. I'll try and pull it out for those of you who haven't seen it. You must have seen it, right? And it's been on this show so many times, and it was amazing. So that was it. I phoned up my mum and all that. Bertie, I've got Bertie Auld's blazer, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And I've got it to keep, and it fitted me like a glove, didn't it, Jim? Like a glove.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cinderella moment. And Robert put it on me, and that was it. And when you put it on, I'm not just saying this. It's like every single Celtic fan watching this today, your dream is to run out and play for Celtic, score a goal for Celtic. We've had that wee dream. Oh, imagine scoring the winner, This, to me, is the next best thing. Wearing a Legends blazer. Bertie stood there, you telling all his stories, all his jokes, singing his... Bertie's always had that wee blazer on. And there's a wee pen, there's a wee inside pocket where the pen is burst. The authenticity, Robert went. He always had a wee pen because he would always sign autographs, all the time. He always had, Bertie just had time for everybody. So even the wee burst pen inside just made it feel so real, so personal. So yeah, I've got that, and it's incredible.
So that was the tour 2022, and before we go into 2023, I think we'll put another photograph on. But Paul, can you put number 3 on rather than the second one? We'll try and.
The tour was 2021, Jim, was it not? Just to keep them right.
2022. Was
it? All right, okay. God, it's 3 years. See, since COVID, you're right.
Yep. So this is a team picture from about 1960-61. You want to guess who these players are, Des? Or we'll just leave that to the people in the chat room. Do you have a wee go at this?
Throw that to
chat
people.
Room.
Yeah, the chat room.
And what we'll do maybe is we'll bring it back up towards the end, Paul, if that's okay. And we can ask the question. I think that front row is pretty well known. And some of the guys in the back, maybe people, certainly younger people, are going to struggle. So can we lose the picture again? I just actually thought of someone there as we're chatting. Was it when you spend so much time around Mr. McLean, you just every day's a laugh, real laugh, and because he does such fantastic impersonations, you start to do them yourself, not to anyone else, but just in your mind doing stuff. And some of the stuff he does is great. And we were doing the tour one day. I'm driving along one day, and a song comes on, and I just burst out laughing when this song comes on. I was going to ask Mr. Dykes this question because he's such a music aficionado, and it was who sings the first line of "Losing My Religion"? And the obvious answer would be Michael Stipe, but it's not. Who is it, Des?
Well, Jim kept going on about this, and I was like, "What?" He went, and it was to do with Billy Connolly, and I was like, "What are you on about, Jim?" And he was like, "Oh, REM." He says, "It came on in the car. This song, "Lose My Religion," and it's Billy." And I'm like, and then it just goes, "Ho ho 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 ho! Life is better. It's better than you and me." And Michael Stipe does not sound like that, but there is a bit at the start that goes, "Ho ho 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 ho!" And it does.
Yeah.
So Jim, this is how Jim. And Jim was like, "That's Billy." Jim had been used to me doing Billy Connolly's and Bertie. If you haven't seen it, he makes a wee cameo, and it is at the start of "Lose My Religion." Play it after this. Go onto YouTube and you hear the opening little "ho ho ho." It's bizarre. It is. So well done,
So,
Jim, for that little
if you're
pop.
around Des McLean, things kind of rub off on you. So 2022, we do the tour into 2023, and that kicks off at the Pavilion. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, since I'm getting all my years, it's been such a roller coaster. So 2023, and I always said to you, Jim,
This year. That's this year.
This year. By the way, is it just me, or since COVID, I can't, everything is all just merged into one, right? So
It's just you.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
2020, 2021, right, we're now at the start of 23. My God, the years are flying by, James, right?
Mm-hmm.
23, I always said to you, we need to, this is made for the Pavilion. This show is just perfect. This is a marriage made in heaven, right? All the nostalgia. Celtic players would have went to the Pavilion back in the day and all that, and I just thought this, you could see Bertie sitting down at the Pavilion watching shows. It's one of my favourite theatres, I mean, just incredible in way. So we're in the Pavilion Thursday, Friday, 2 shows on the Saturday, perfect. And it was amazing. I mean, it was like absolutely rammed, sold out shows, just incredible. And was it 1,549 people? Perfect. And the old Pavilion, it never looked better, And here's the thing: do you remember that night, Jim? The opening night, they'd made it all green for Bertie. The whole outside was just all green, and we took a few photos. It looked magnificent. The Pavilion Theater outside, they just made it. You know how they make the high green.
Can you do that in Bertie's voice? Sorry, you could do that one in Bertie's voice. It looked magnificent.
I walked up to the Pavilion Theater, right, and it was the whole lot was emerald green, and you know what? It looked magnificent. The Pavilion Theater had never looked better. I'll tell you, it looked magnificent. I'd been in the Pavilion years before that, and see that night when it looked green, I had a tear in my eye, because I promise you, it was magnificent.
As Bertie would say himself, and it did look. Do you remember I kept saying, "Look at that," and it was a stunning tribute from the good people at Pavilion. Remember, Scott just went right, bang, let's make, and it looked amazing. It did. It looked sensational. The whole outside just all green. There's a brilliant photo just right up Renfield Street, and you just saw it just all green. It was a lovely gesture, wasn't it?
And do you have a favourite performance of the 4?
My favourite performance, there's no question about this. The Saturday afternoon, the matinee. By the way, Paul John Dykes attended. He was there that day. He's a very busy man, and I always like the wee matinee. I think the Pavilion Theatre lends itself well to a wee, let's go for a wee matinee, a wee pint and lauders and a wee fish tea, I think the Pavilion is that kind of place, right? But not just that, my mum came along, my wife came along, my wee boy Harry came along. He'd never really seen me in anything, like apart from doing it to school, talking to other kids and all that, doing like stuff at Christmas nursery, doing all the funny voices and that. But this was the first time he'd seen me in a kind of environment where I work. And he'd always wanted to see me do stand-up and all that, but he's too young. So it was an amazing show. It was a textbook show. Everything just landed, and the audience were amazing. Saturday afternoon show as well. So they're not too well oiled. It's no Saturday night where they've had too many drinks. They were just perfect. They were just maybe 1 pint away from, a wee happy buzz and a couple of wee, so they were just all nice and in a good mood. It's Christmas time. It's Saturday it's the weekend rather, and it's a Saturday afternoon. And we were a wee bit nervous about that because remember Celtic were still to get drawn. Remember, Jim? And if Celtic had drawn some, just say, imagine it was a Celtic Rangers game. That'd have been it. We'd have been, But it was Celtic St Mirren. Yeah, St Mirren. Yeah, and it was fairly easy enough. Wee bit kind of, and we watched the game in the Pavilion. But the show in the afternoon was my favourite. My wee boy sent a message saying, "So proud of you, Dad. You were brilliant," and that was the moment for me. And I got them all to do the big huddle, a massive Pavilion Theater huddle, which looked brilliant. We took a photograph, we put it into a wee video now. It was just it was a perfect day. That was a perfect show. I mean, Vegas was incredible. Vegas was a fairy tale.
We're going too fast. We'll stick to this Pavilion.
Right? What I'm saying is, Vegas was a fairy tale, right? But that show was my favourite Bertie show of all time. Because my family were all there and everything was great. And it was just magical. It was just one of the ones where I thought, this is what it's all about. And when I got the message from my son saying, "I'm so proud of you," and all that, that's what it's all about. That's what life's all about, Jim.
Who needs Tiny Tim when you've got these stories? Brilliant. Good. Move a couple of pictures, Paul, if you're in the background. Can you put number 4 on, please? Number 4, please. Is that countdown? Is that countdown? Is that? Oh.
Maybe Jim was the Amazon guy at the door.
No, post office. Post office.
Oh, well, I was just saying, you don't normally see Gary Lineker answering the door on Match of the Day. This is very professional, Dave. We love it.
What can you say?
It's great.
I've got an empty. Right, Mr. Dykes isn't here. Somebody's not here.
Let's need to talk about, right?
Okay. So basically, we do the Pavilion, and prior to the Pavilion, you were having discussions with who about potentially going to where?
Well, we talk about Vegas now.
Yes, we're talking about Vegas.
So we'd been on the tour, and we were obviously I remember you went away you went away on holiday, and I went away on holiday abroad. And just a couple of days, I remember thinking, it'd be good. We need to rewind a wee bit because we got the Pavilion and Vegas at the same time. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. The two of them came just in. It was like bang, and those were the two big ones. I thought, getting the Pavilion Theater. It's the best theatre for it's the perfect theatre for Bertie. And then to get Vegas, that was you. And then I just thought, so after the Pavilion, it was countdown to Vegas. And you're thinking, it does not get any better than that. So we just finished a brilliant run at the Pavilion. I'm away on a week's holiday abroad. And then it was just the countdown to Vegas. And before that, we went to, we had a cracking wee night. It was a very intimate night in Gracie's. Everyone knows Gracie's, the sports bar in Candleriggs, Merchant City, which was great. That set us up nicely for Vegas. But by the way, the thing is, Bertie's two favourite places in the whole world were Vegas and Donegal. And we went to Donegal after Vegas as well, which was an absolutely magical weekend.
Right.
And
so before we jump into Vegas, Paul's just said he's now number 4, Paul. We'll just have a quick look at these photographs and then we'll come back. So number 4, one of the most famous photographs in Celtic's history. That's Bertie scoring the first goal, bundling in the first goal in the Scottish Cup final in 1965. A couple of quiz questions then. The ball hit the bar, went miles up in the air, and then Bertie bundles it in. Who had the shot, hit the bar? And for a bonus point, who actually passed to the person who had the shot? So again, we'll briefly come back to that at the end of the programme.
That's for the punters out there. By the way,
in the chat room, yeah.
Not fair us answering them because I can now go and mastermind with the light of Bertie. Even attendance at that game was 108,800 people, and you know what? They were rammed. They were packed. It was packed in like sardines that day.
That should be in the script. That sounds great. Number 5, quickly before we go into Vegas, because it's the same game. This hosting's a piece of cake, by the way. There you go. Number 5, that's the celebrations after the 65 Cup final. And as everyone knows, that's the launch pad for the Lisbon Lions. Up to that point, I mean, Celtic had underachieved for a number of years. Weren't a particularly well-known club outside Scotland. And when I saw that picture, I kind of zoned in on the fact that Barry Manilow was on Bertie's shoulders. So for the poster, what I did was then isolate just the two of them. And that became the Bend It Like Bertie poster. And we can talk about the Bend It Like Bertie poster in a wee while. So that's fine, Paul, to get it off the screen. I'll get back to Mr. who's holding up the poster of Bertie and Billy McNeil.
Jim, you took that off that, and I think that even just that little photo of Billy and Bertie there is just magnificent. Just Bertie, hoisting Caesar up there. A wee man like Bertie holding Big Billy up there. It's just a brilliant, and just shows So there you go. That's brilliant.
So that's where it came from. Yeah. So there you go.
A message asking, somebody's obviously just tuned in, and from Jupiter, it's back on at the Pavilion this February 8th, 9th, 10th. That was my plug. There you go. Just
well done. I'm glad someone's paying attention. Good. Well done. So the plan was we're going to go to the Vegas convention that happens every couple of years or so. But this one was going to happen the year after the last one. COVID kind of kiboshed at that time. So there wasn't as many coming to the Vegas convention. But if anyone who's never been to the Vegas convention, it's mental, basically. It's just...
it's mental.
Usually 3,000 to 4,000 Celtic fans converging in the Westgate Hotel. And they'd never had a play on there before. And that's what we were trying to convince the guys to say, she's trying Des McLean, comedy genius, and the time with Bertie, because Bertie always went to Vegas, Des, didn't he? He was always
Bertie was Mr. Vegas. Bertie was always there. I'd been to Vegas before performing stand-up,
And you'd met him on the plane coming back up the road?
I sat with Bertie for 10, 11 hours, and Bertie was telling me, Bertie was sitting telling me all the stories. I'd met Bertie before that in the Ranza Bar in Black Hill. What a difference if the Ranza Bar in Black Hill, where my master is, where I was brought up, to Vegas. So I'd met Bertie many different times, in ordinary corporates down at the Hilton and stuff like that, down at Celtic Park, the Ranza, then Vegas. But we see that conversation. You know how you sit in a plane and you go, I'm bored. Should I watch that film? Should I watch that? Should I read what's on in the Duty Free magazine? Right, you're bored. That flew by. Bertie was sitting there going, see this night, we're sitting in Wish, all right, and we Jinky was barred for this pub. So Big Jock, he's sitting by the phone, and I thought, you can't get down there because right, so I said to right, and Tommy, get Big Gemo, right, he's telling me on this. Money could not buy this. This was like a competition win, right? This was like a lottery win. You think if you're every Celtic fan to be sitting next to a Lisbon Lion and him regaling you with all these stories, that is incredible. And I'm sitting and Bertie's just telling me all these, everything about all the Lisbon Lions, about all the guys he played with, about his relationship with Jinky, with Bobby Murdoch, with Billy McNeil, with incredible. And I'm just sitting and going, this is amazing. And it's funny how life pans out in it, and he's asking me, he loved all the impersonations. He loved it's by we see your Billy Connolly's brilliant, your Sylvester Stallone, your Sean Connery. He loved all that. He loved it. And then little did he know, I'd end up, playing the great man himself. It's funny how life works out. So that was me meeting, obviously, Bertie, who was a life and soul in Vegas. He was a life and soul. He'd be up there telling a joke. He'd be telling funny stories. He'd be singing songs. Bertie was a man in Vegas. And he looked to part in Vegas. He just Bertie. You imagine him sitting there, hey, Bertie, hey, Mr. Ald, sit beside you, Mr. Ald, a Lisbon Lion. Hey, Ald's a Lisbon Lion, you. Right, so I was nearly breaking into some industrial language here. Hey, hey, Mr. Ald, he's a lion. Hey, he's a Lisbon Lion, you. So anyway, he's there, he's in Vegas, he's holding court, he's the main man. So little did I know we were sitting there on that plane that I'd be playing him in Bendel Bertie and then going back to Vegas to Bertie's place. And as Robert Auld said, the Blazer returns to Vegas, and that was Robert was like, oh my, his dad would have loved that, and that's why the play. You couldn't think of a better Celtic player to pay tribute to in Vegas than Bertie, because he was always there. Yeah. He was always there. I can't. If you were asked somebody, Bertie was there every time, every second year when they had it. Bertie would be at the convention because he loved it. He loved being surrounded by people. He loved the whole Vegas vibe,
So the plan was to go to Vegas, and we're going to fly out the day after the cup final, and then thankfully we got a treble in the bag. And during the tour and during the pavilion, we had a technician who was outstanding, a guy called Jack Woolley. But unfortunately, he couldn't make Vegas. So as usual, Des McLean says, you can do it, because that's what he does. You can do it. You can stand up in front of 500 people at the Beacon and perform a play, and you can do the tech stuff because you know the play. So basically, the night before we go out, I get an email from the marvellously named Curtis Kuntz asking me to give him a call.
Careful how you pronounce that.
You're well done, Curtis Kuntz. So it's 10:30 the Saturday night. We've just won the cup, and I'm phoning Curtis Kuntz, and he doesn't realise I'm phoning from Glasgow. Well, you're from Scotland? Yeah, I'm from Scotland. And I'm thinking I need to phone because something disastrous happened, because I'm the tech guy now, basically, as Mr. McLean's made me the tech guy. Yes. And it's nothing major, but I had to explain this is what we're doing, etc., etc. Now, these are the tech guys who look after Barry Manilow at the Westgate Theatre. So I'm doing the tech, right? So, and I'm speaking to Curtis, my new best pal. So I'm marking his card. This is Ben like Bertie and me. This better be good. So we fly out in the Sunday, yeah, we get there Sunday night, and then we're in the theatre that Elvis played back in the day. You want to tell us a bit about that, Des?
I mean, this is, you just can't. This is beyond far-fetched, right? We're playing the Westgate International Theatre, right? And if anybody's ever seen footage of Elvis back in the day with the jumpsuits and all that on, it'd always been at Vegas, right? If you watch the latest Elvis movie, the brilliant film, it was mostly set in the Westgate International in Vegas, where he was on for a 7-year residency. There's a gold statue of Elvis because he holds the record for the longest ever residency performance in Las Vegas, which was in the Westgate International Theatre. So we're standing on the same stage as Elvis Presley, the greatest, the king of rock and roll, the greatest entertainer of all time, right? And, you know, my dad loved it. I mean, like, beyond, my dad would have Elvis on every weekend. We were drinking them, and it was always Vegas it was on. It was when videos just come out, my dad would play it, and Elvis Presley, and it would be live from Vegas, and it would, you know, and I thought, imagine my dad could actually see me. And there's a plaque a plaque of where Elvis was standing, and you're thinking, Elvis Presley was standing here singing all his classics, and Elvis's beads of sweat will be trickling.
Gone too far. Gone too far.
You know how you used to see Elvis going out, and the women would always remember wipe his brow and all that. And be, why can't you see what you're doing to me? Maybe you're always on my mind. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tomorrow night we got that band of Bertie here, sure. And then we got Mr. Jim Orr doing technical. You, Mr. James Orr. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Orr. So we were not joking here. The bold Jim Orr, who would, when he puts his mind to anything, is incredible. From back in deepest, darkest lockdown, Jim's like, right, I've got an idea. We're going to do this, and everything. It doesn't, from Donegal to Vegas, it all happened. Jim's sitting there with Barry Manilow, right? His whole tech crew sitting 3.5. I mean, this is like 3,500 seater, right? And Jim's sitting there, quite the thing, cool as a cucumber. The faders up, doing this, the lights, you name it. And
stage left, stage right, blackout.
He's sitting there with Barry Manilow's techies, right?
Well, the funny story about that is the fact that it was as well we did it before we saw Barry, because we saw Barry 3 nights later, something like that.
So, 3 nights later, we saw Barry Manilow.
So I'm talking to Barry's tech guy, Brad, and these other guys, and I'm saying, look, Bentley Bertie, mate, you know, this better be good. This is a video about Jock Stein, and this is that, because just to let people know that at the end of every scene, I do a kind of 30-second video with a song of the time, because the play's based in 1965. So basically, there's a video of a song in the early parts of 1965, and there's some photographs. So Des does a Q&A throughout the play as Bertie, and then basically, so in one of the Q&As, we talks about Jock Stein, and so at the end of that one, we put a video and it's a big joke and photographs of Jock Stein and all this kind of stuff. And I'm saying these guys, says Jock Stein, and you better get this right and whatever. So 3 nights later, we go and see Barry Manilow because we get comps. This is great. We get comps, and we're like 12 from the front, something like that. And not that I'm a big Barry Manilow fan, but he's Mr. Entertainment. It's brilliant. Yeah. And you know what? I've seen the special effects of this, and they had some sort of gantry that Barry and his dancers would walk on, and it was like, I don't know, like 10 foot high, and then they would raise it and they would lower it, and it was like 2 foot above your head. And Barry and his dancers are jumping about, and I'm thinking 3 nights ago I said to these guys, look, you know, this is Big Jock, and this is, you know, this is Bertie, and this is Charlie Guy. They must have thought an idiot, basically. All they were doing was showing videos and doing lighting there. And the Manilow thing was, I mean, at one point, there's like 6 or 7 videos were going to happen at the same time, and he was singing, he was all this kind of stuff, and I'm thinking, just as well, we did this first, because I'd have been totally embarrassed to have done it afterwards. And we did it anyway. So hey,
listen, you can't be too careful. I've got to laugh because you're right. The Barry Manilow production was just way off the scale, right? It was just incredible. It was pure Vegas, right? Every song was a production. There was videos of them doing talk shows, and then you're right. This big thing happened at the end where it was like it was going over this big. It was gantry bridge thing, and he's looking down at everybody.
He was within 2 feet of your head. It's just the whole thing came down. You thought, "Wait, crutches here."
And me and Jim are like that at the
looking
cabana, right? And he's right above us. This whole absolute crazy production, right? And Jim's sitting a couple of nights previous, going, "Are you sure we can trust you? We can trust you." This bit here, you need to play "Hail, Hail."
This is about the Celtic. And
we're talking like a photo of Bertie Old, and the guys are sitting there going, "Yeah, we got this, Jim." You were. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Remember that guy? He didn't speak at all. The big guy sitting there, and he goes,
"The silent guy." Silent guy.
Okay. Jim's like, "You sure?" Because this has to come on. See when Des points round, that picture's got to go up on there, okay? And these guys are putting like pyrotechnics and bridges. Bridges are appearing, you know, wow, like the Wizard of Oz and all that. And Jim's saying, "Can you put that photo up there, pal? Because if you can't, we'll get somebody else who can."
Aye.
So we get
Your job's at stake, pal. Aye.
we get calls for Bendit like Bertie, and we're sitting there. It's for Bendit like Bertie, for Bendit like Barry, for Barry Manilow. And it was sensational. He was 80 that weekend, 80 years of age, and he's still, moving about like the way you would imagine Copacabana. And oh man, you go to see Manilow in Vegas. It was incredible. And I just thought, I was gutted though, because he never came to see us. We gave him comps for Brendan. His 2 seats were empty, and I thought, that's it. Manilow's getting no more comps.
Don't make that mistake again. That's it finished. That's away. Let's put another picture up just to kind of break up. Paul, can you put number 8 up? If you can, the Duke of Prague post-match, if you're there, Paul. There you go. So that's just a wee quick picture of in the dressing room after beating Duke of Prague in the semi-final. Well-Kent faces, Bertie at the front with a trademark Bertie smile.
Yeah.
Interesting, 2 guys at the back stand beside each other, Stevie Chalmers, Tommy Gemmell, the guys that scored the goals in Lisbon, obviously. Can you next one up, Paul, number 9? The Lisbon Lions, if you're there. Lisbon Lions. So, question, if Celtic never won the European Cup, would we be holding people like Bertie Auld in such high esteem? Des, what do you think?
Oh,
if we didn't win it. If we didn't win it.
Of course, because people like, it was such you said quite rightly a few photographs before that, like the turning point, the corner was obviously beating Dunfermline in that final. We'd won nothing for years. The tendencies were low. We're getting pumped by teams like Falkirk and all that, and Motherwell and what have you, that on a regular basis we were not a good team. And then when Bertie came in, as you said, Bertie was a catalyst. He scored in every round, and then he scored 2 in the final. And obviously, then he came round about the same time as Big Job. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about not winning the European Cup, what Bertie, what the amount of goals that he scored for Celtic, his passion, he was a great ambassador. This is a guy who played in 3 European Cup finals. If you when you think about it, the other one for Birmingham, of course. Yeah,
European finals. Yeah, European
finals. And yeah, of course, he's such a big personality. And we said Bertie Auld is the biggest Celtic personality, or the greatest Celtic personality of all time. I mean, in my opinion, I just think there's nobody out there who encapsulates. He's just one of these guys who you just, he's Mr. Celtic. I know that Bertie's called other. He said that about Billy McNeil and that. But if you're talking about somebody who has it all, he was a great player. He's a pattern merchant. He's just passionate. He's a great ambassador. He's everybody's got a wee tale about Bertie. Everybody's got a wee, a moment where they met him, or he'll never walk by anybody. He's just one of the guys, very passionate, very emotional. Always went to Vegas. Had time for everybody. He was just the greatest ever Celtic personality that we think anyway, don't we, Jim?
Yeah. Picture number 10 then, just to follow up on that point, is the man with his European Cup medal.
Bertie looks like a movie star there, doesn't he?
He does look like a movie star. The Brilpin hair, the look, the jaw, the teeth, the whole thing, the whole package. So, would you know what honours Bertie won, Des? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Well,
in his career.
Are you asking me to do the final speech now?
Aye, just a bit of it. Aye. Do that, aye. If you take the picture away, Paul, aye.
Right, here we go.
So we can see Mr. McLean doing this. Right,
go for it. Are you allowing me to do? You never like me to do anything from the play.
Just do it. It's a charity weekend. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Just that bit. You've won your. What did you win, Bertie?
I thought you were going to say, when did you realise it was your last time?
No, just from. All I was asking you is, what did you win, Bertie? Tell me what you won.
See, when I look back, right, I won, 6 championships for Celtic. We won 5 League Cups. I won 4 Scottish Cups. And I won the cup with the big ears. Europe's most glittering prize. We were the only Scottish team to do it. And I was voted into Celtic's greatest ever team. 270 for Celtic, 79 goals.
Right, anyway, that's
come and see Bender like Bertie in the Pavilion this February and see the extended version of that.
An extended version. So,
yeah. Tell me what happened after Vegas then, Des? What happened after Vegas?
By the way, here's an interesting one for a wee bit of Celtic trivia for all the punters out there today. A wee bit of Saturday pre-football, pre-match trivia. We went to Donegal, right, and I didn't realise the connection, how big the connection was with Donegal and Celtic, right? I mean, that when we were doing, we did the show. We were the first English-speaking show, remember, in this theatre. By the way, I couldn't even. It's a pity we didn't have I can't remember the name of the theatre. It's one of these big Irish.
Can't pronounce it. Yeah.
Have you got it there? A photo? No.
Can't pronounce it. No.
Can't pronounce it right. And it was, what a night it was. It was a brilliant night, and I mean, everybody. It was a sold out for ages, and you know, it was in Donegal, and they got all the stuff, even all the wee. Some things you had to change, all the wee kind of Glasgowisms and all that, you know, because it wasn't, for once, it wasn't a kind of a West of Scotland audience. Even in Vegas, they got it more than they would in Ireland, you know, because it was a lot of expats and all that. But they loved it. They absolutely loved it, and they loved Bertie over there. And Bertie went to Donegal, and so it was just. I need to mention a special man called Martin McHugh who organised the whole thing, and he's behind the Bertie old legacy. And he just treated us like, honestly, like kings over there that whole weekend, you know, and we wanted for nothing, you know, and it was just, and we went to Martin's house on the beach, which was incredible, which looked like the Big Brother house. So Martin, if you're watching, he normally tunes in, he goes to the Acsom nights. We'll never forget that weekend. But Martin took us to a place on the Sunday afternoon, this little field, and he says, there's a wee special Celtic bit of trivia here, and it was this wee a wee clump, a wee dod of grass, and it was to do with Celtic's. It was in 1990. Jim, you can enlighten us here. In 1995, this little dod of grass came from this little field in Donegal, and it was the first dod of grass planted on Celtic's new park, and stadium. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
We went to see it, and it's just this little, and it's got a wee plaque, and it says, and it tells you this is where, you know, the first, the seed sown, the very first, you know, blades of grass to go in the new Celtic park, and it was taken over. They took over a wee clump, and that was the first one laid down, and it's there with the wee plaque, and such a massive connection. There was that night we had relatives of Charlie Gallagher. Who else was it? Jim Brogan. There was about 3 or 4 or something. It was all relatives. Who else was it? Anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was all a real Celtic connection. Donegal with an absolutely magnificent weekend, and that was a wee bit of trivia, that the little clump of.
You also said you thought that was the best of all the Bertie shows.
It was.
Notwithstanding the emotional one with Harry being at the one, in terms of the actual performance thing.
There's been so many. The Pavilion Saturday afternoon will always have a place in my heart, but for response from start to finish, feel good, the audience just went crazy for it. It was like a different kind of, you know, it was just because it was an island, and they just loved it. They loved it. I mean, everything you said, they were just going crazy for, you know, in a good way. They weren't just screaming out like some mad Saturday night crowd, but they were really, really going for it. And it was such a feel good, relaxing atmosphere from start to finish. No matter what you said, they were just, you know, it was just different from all the other ones, probably because it was in a totally different neck of the woods, different country, and you're thinking, well, they get all this, and they did, and then some. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant weekend, unforgettable. Thanks to Martin McHugh.
Yeah, thanks to Martin. Last picture, Paul. Number 12. Ta-da! The great man himself.
Saddest picture.
We had the pleasure of going to meet the great man during lockdown in 2020. When it was okay to go and visit people, but you stay 6 feet apart and all that stuff. That's the first time I'd ever met the great man, and he sort of welcomes you like a long lost friend, and you're explaining what the play is going to be about. And the sad thing is, he never got to see the play. And on the day, I mean, he looked $1 million that day, and he wasn't well. And I took some photographs of him and Des. And I'm not one for selfies, but what I like about that picture is that my name's on the poster. So it's a picture of Bertie Auld, and it says Jim Morrow on that poster. So that's probably my favourite picture of the great man. And it was sad he never got to see it, because he did 2 things for us. Well, apart from giving up his time that day for the best part of an hour and a half, that photograph, and it says coming soon. It was during COVID, so coming soon could have been who knows when. That's why there's no dates on it. So unfortunately, we managed to do it within about a year of that photograph been taken. And he also very kindly did a wee video for us, which we play at the end of the play, which kind of like brings the house down. So we thank him and we thank Robert Auld as well for all his support throughout this wee journey that we've had with the play. Because the plan is we're on the Pavilion in February, start of February, and the chances that'll be the last one, certainly for the foreseeable future. Not unless we go for New York or London or Toronto or something, but certainly within Scotland, I think we'll be doing it for the last couple of years. And it's a great tribute to Bertie. I mean, you do, Neil, Bertie, and it is something that since the play started, the Bertie Auld legacy has been started by the aforementioned Martin McHugh and Bertie's son Robert, and they're raising lots of money for good causes, and long may that continue. So the legacy, and I suppose the play is something that could keep his name there. And I think we'll certainly do it again at some point, but certainly not in the foreseeable future. The plan is February at the Pavilion, and then we'll maybe kind of put it to bed for a wee while. But Des could be playing Bertie for the next 20 years, so because you're a young man, Mr. McLean, so you could be.
Well, listen, that's the thing. When it all started, I still remember when I met you just before lockdown, and I'd come along to see your other play, which was brilliant, Bendel at Bratback, and about that whole crazy season. And I remember thinking I would love to be in a Celtic play. And then for this to happen, it's been a privilege. It's been an honour, and also, you think I'd met the great man many times, and then when you start playing him, when you've got that blazer on, you genuinely feel as if you're a superhero. You feel like Iron Man. You put that on, and that's you. On a Saturday night, walking about the pavilion. Hey, can I get you something, son? Hey, what about And you're heckling all the audience, and you're like you're just Bertie up there. It's just great. You become Bertie, and then when you look out there and you see, and you're singing away, it's an absolute honour. It's been amazing, and one of the great things, the family, the support from his family has been amazing as well. They've been right behind it, and I think Robert's came along. How many times has Robert come along to see it? It's great.
Not as many as John Fallon, to be fair. John Fallon's a huge supporter of the play.
John Fallon.
One of the I'm just conscious of saying, but one of the very first night we did Bendel at Bertie at Webster's, my plan was to try and get as many of the 65 team along as possible who were still with us. And John Fallon, who's a big supporter of Bendel at Bratback, came along, and John Hughes came along. And at the time, John Hughes wasn't well at all, a few months beforehand, and he made that a bit of a target. And anyone who watches Acsom will know John Hughes' son through Acsom. And I've been in touch with younger John Hughes, and he said his dad had made it a target. He wanted to really go to see Bendel at Bertie, and his dad made it, and he looked brilliant. And I think about 14 of the Hughes family came along, and I think John Hughes Jr. said to me many months later, well, after his dad sadly passed away, that was one of the best nights I've had in many a year. The fact that all the family were together, and then at the end of the first performance of Bendel at Bertie, you've got John Fallon, huge round of applause. The original Holy Goalie, and then you've got the original Yogi Bear and John Hughes, and they put the arm around his shoulder, and that was a really poignant thing to see these like iconic Celtic guys on the stage, and to put that together from some wee kind of daft play, that was really good. That was really great. So I loved that. You getting the blazer, that's up there as well, because I get the Lisbon Lions blazer. That's absolutely mental to be sitting there with a Lisbon Lions blazer. And you've not sold it on eBay yet, have you? No.
Never. That will always no. You're right. That emotional moment you've just mentioned there, with big Yogi and John. That you said to me, you went, "What a beautiful photo!" And they just had the arms on one of their shoulders. Remember, and it was a beautiful moment. And it was so sad because Mr. Hughes passed away, and it was just, there's been a lot of that going through the whole Bertie thing as well. It's been a whole emotional roller coaster from that tough night down in the Beacon Theater in Greenock when Bertie passed away the next day. It has been, and what a tribute to the great man. And yeah, there's been all those wee moments that you talk about, and you're trying to get great Celtic people together at times. For John Hughes Jr. to say, that was one of the best nights and all that. These things, they mean a lot, don't they, Jim? It's just amazing.
They do mean a lot. I'm conscious of time because actually it's 12 o'clock now, and I've added a new string to my bow. I'm now a podcast host, so I'll add that to the old CV. So before we
podcast host up there with Barry Manilow's tech crew in Vegas, and author. And
piece of cake. So before we go, I'd just like to say thanks to Des for coming on this morning. Bertie, do you want to give it the last plug before we go?
This is now a shameless plug for a brilliant play that I'm very proud to be part of, written by the great Jim Orr. It's Bend It Like Bertie. It's on at my favourite theatre in the land, the Pavilion Theater. It's on that weekend where everybody starts to come back to life again in February. So it's on the first weekend in February. No, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th. 2 shows. The ticket sales are going very well, but this is when they really go through the roof. They're starting to sell really well. It's a perfect Christmas present. Bend It Like Bertie. If you're a Celtic fan, you'll love it. If you're a Bertie Holt fan, you're really going to love it. Or if you just love, going to the theatre, nostalgia, and it's fantastic. And that's the Pavilion Theater in February. Bend It Like Bertie. That's your Christmas sorted. There you go.
And it's your last time to see it. This weekend is all about trying to raise as much money for wee Jamie Tierney. So please give us as much as you can. The link will be underneath the title here. And thanks for tuning in today. Cheers.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.